Studies major, and we are here at San Agustin Standalone Senior High School.
Good morning, ma'am. I am Maria Christine Arado-Lavanon.
And I'm teaching Tanya.
Okay, good morning.
Good morning, ma'am. So, we are the students from Bao Community College, major in Social Studies. So, as part of our task in Assessment in Learning 1, we are asked by our instructor to interview a personality by which that person has 5 years of experience and the area of specialization is the same as ours. So, maaari po ba namin malaman kung ano po yung pangalan?
Okay, so I'm Veronica Ramos Senior. And currently a teacher of San Agustin Standalone Senior High School.
Gaano na po kayo ang matagal na natuturo?
Maling age na eh.
I've been teaching for
18 years. So starting from 2002, I was teaching in college. And until now, I transferred to senior high school.
Sa public po, ma'am, ilang years na po kayo natuturo?
Sa public, more or less 5 years.
5 years na
Kasi nung mag-start yung senior high school, dahil sa time na lumita ako.
Okay. So, ano po yung mga subjects na tinuturo mo po?
Sa
Ngayong school year po?
Ngayong school year, I'm teaching Introduction to the Philosophy of the Human Person and Trends, so all the subjects of trends, networks, and critical thinking in the 21st century, yung hinahandle ko, as well as I'm also given English for academic and professional purposes due to lack of teachers.
So, as of now po, ma'am, ilang classes po yung na-handle?
Marami. We have teaching loads for 9 hours. Sa bawat klase, for example, for philosophy, I have 5 classes. All grade 12 for trends, lahat ng humanities students sa trends. And then, sa AYAP, I've been handling the 11th STEM AYAP class.
So, sa bawat classes po, ma'am, ilang students po yung na-handle ninyo per class?
The biggest is 50 per class. Blockbuster yun kasi medyo tumaas yung enrollment namin ngayon. Kulang yung teacher. So, tamang blockbuster per class. So yung we have 44 students to 48 pala sa grade 12.
Oo, per class.
Per class.
Yun na po yung pinakamarami.
Yun na yung pinakamarami. And luckily, sometimes, pero right this year, it's very impossible to find 35. I think yung lowest is 31 sa PBL 1 for philosophy.
Yung mga changes po ba dati po ba face-to-face yung interaction? So, paano niyo po ginagather yung information about mo sa mga students, yung in terms of their knowledge, yung skills po nila, and then yung values?
Okay, so basically, at the start of the school year, we usually do assessment, yung gathering of data from the different, syempre, first and foremost is the enrollment forms where yung personal profiles were being generated so as to have an idea about the places where they came from and of course the values that are connected to that places. As much as about academics, how we gather information is through taking the pre-test and baseline. Right now, our school actually is, upon enrollment, administering the reading test for students both in English and Filipino. That is to identify their skills in those areas. So, that is how we will do it.
Paano niyo po ma'am kinakandak yung activity na gano'n?
That is, every teacher, for example, during enrollment, every day there is an assigned teacher, so the assigned teacher will be doing the assessment. So at the same time, that is the actual assessment, but there are interpretations. So interpretations of the result of the test will be given or will be done by the subject area head in English and Filipino.
So,
Afterwards.
every week minimum or every day?
No, during enrollment.
During
But
enrollment.
we have other assessments. So depending on the kind of things that you wanted to know. Like for example, if it is on your subject, philosophy, we do pre-test or the baseline test. That is to know how well or the basic skills that they already and knowledge that they already have, so that we can at least identify what are the things needed. For other assessment purposes, for example, personality, we have checklist for the different kinds of attitudes and values that is actually used in homeroom guidance. So that is for attitudes and values. And other kinds of assessment, if needed, we make use of, I personally make use of psychological tests. Aside from the teacher-made test that I use for every subject.
How do you utilize on your professionals? Your course?
In terms of assessment, okay, so my major is psychology, so that's why I'm trained in psychological testing as well as the use of teacher-made tests. So when we talk about standardized tests, those are tests that sometimes you get from service providers, like diagnostic tests for different subjects, and we have achievement tests, sometimes yung national achievement test number 4, and yung NCAI. We make use of those assessments in order to help students. But for academics, there are teacher-made tests that are being used. So same thing with how we interpret it. Interpretation of tests will depend on the group, for example, or individual level. For example, you're going to identify how the one class is performing in comparison to another class. So you make use of different techniques in interpreting the assessment that you have used, like mean, BL. So to compare if what class is really performing well in a particular subject, and what would be the reasons why they may not be performing the same as other classes.
So, sa ilang years po na experience niyo, ano po yung sa tingin niyo na pinaka-effective na assessment tools para po ma-assess yung performance ng mga learners?
Like what I've said, there is no assessment depends on the purpose. So therefore, whatever is the thing that you wanted to measure, you have to use the right assessment tool. So for example, you're going to assess skill in mathematics. And what kind of purpose? I mean, are you going to give it at the start of the class or at the end of the class to assess learning? So you'll start baseline siya. Of course, you can use different materials for baseline. But if you're going to assess the extent of learning, you make use of summative tests. So there is actually no perfect assessment tool, but it becomes perfect when the purpose is achieved. And of course, meron kang standards like yung validity, reliability ng test, na sunod mo yung tamang proseso para valid yung results. So yun, dun mo talaga makikita na yung assessment mo tama.
So, how does assessment help you become more effective as a teacher?
Because of assessment, yun nga, di ba, meron ng purpose. So, makukuha mo yung result ng purpose. And then, you can create. So, purposing, di ba, may purpose na kaya yung gagawin mo. And the end result will always be on how you're going to create sometimes good learning materials that is needed, or you can identify if the student needs intervention. So you can create other lessons to help the students. Or pag ito ay summative, then alam mo na kung ano na yung extent na natutunan mo, then you can already move on to the next topic. So depende sa kailangan mo makuha ng information. So for us to be good teachers, assessment is important because you can devise the next lesson and the next materials and strategies to use in further teaching the students.
Hindi ka naman po na hihirapan mo na mag-assess kasi di ba po ang mga students meron silang different personality and different learnings din kung paano makuha yung lesson. So hindi ka po na hihirapan na mag-assess.
Sa different learning styles, so meron ding example what kind of test are you going to give to the different students na fast learners, then slow learners. Sometimes, you will notice na merong test na minsan na-design para sa mga, sabihin na natin fast learners. Sometimes, it will depend on the interpretation of the tests. Lalo na kung halimbawa, kahit siya teacher-made test, if you follow the right procedures in making the teacher-made test, ma-identify mo pa rin yung fast, slow, saka moderate learners. Kasi if you notice, ideally, a teacher-made test should follow a certain point of standardization wherein you're going to identify if your test questions are easy, moderate, or difficult. So when you make a particular assessment tool, you make sure na there are equal number of easy questions, moderate, and yung questions na medyo difficult. Para it's fair. And actually, that is where you are going to test the validity and reliability of your test question. So, kapag balance yung paggawa mo ng test question, yung pinaka-purpose talaga, kahit iba-iba yung skills nila, iba-iba yung IQ levels, still you're going to have an accurate results. So, dun mo makikita na yung pagkakaiba, iba. So that, gaya nga ng sinabi, yung purpose ng assessment is, na-highlight na ito, slow learner, gagawa ka ng learning material na suited to them. Yun na yung kasi hindi pwede yung test mo magagawa na lahat bagsak. Para lang masabi na ang galing-galing ng professor, kaya walang nakakapasa sa test niya. Sometimes, yung test is not well created, kaya iba ang lumalabas na result. Parang isang side lang siya. So, kasi di ba meron tayong normal curve pagdating sa testing, sa assessment. Pag sinabi normal curve, it's normal sometimes na yung nakakuha ng mataas, konti lang, nakakuha ng mababa, konti, and average, yun yung marami. Kasi yun talaga yung standard sa IQ ng mga tao. In a certain population, mas konti yung nasa gilid. Diba sa statistics, mas marami yung nasa gilid. So, ganun dapat yung ma-achieve na result ng isang assessment tool.
When using an assessment, paano po ang nasasabi na na-define kung ang isang teacher ay effective or efficient teacher using assessment?
Kung yung lahat ng ginagawa niya sa assessment, hindi lang nangyayari sa to know the result or to know the grades of the student, hindi lang din tumitigil, pero ginagawa niya ng intervention programs yung mga kakulangan na natin. So that's actually the reason for assessment. It's not for creating the grades, but to make the assessment of a student's performance useful to them, not only for the teacher, but for the student.
Thank you po, ma'am.
Sorry. I hope you can have satisfactory
Yes po.
questions. thank you also for giving me the opportunity to give you additional insights.
Thank you, ma'am.
Hi everyone, I am Lynelle Ashley D. De La Cruz from BSE 3F Social Studies major. So right now, I am here at SASH or San Agustin Standalone Senior High School to conduct an interview from my former UMS teacher, Ma'am Helen Fatima R. Andalis.
Good afternoon po, Ma'am Helen. Thank you po for accepting our invitation na ma-interview po.
Okay,
In behalf po of BSN 3F Major in Social Studies. So, ang interview po namin is for the Professional Education 7 po with the subject description of Assessment and Learning 1 po. So, ang sabi po sa amin is kailangan po namin mag-interview ng mga teachers na mayroong 5 years experience in teaching, and also po dapat align din po sa field namin. So,
My privilege.
thank you po, ma'am. So, to start po, what is your name po, your full name?
Okay, I am Mrs. Helen Fatima R. Andalis.
So, how long have you been teaching po?
Oh, I've been teaching for so many years already, more or less 30 years.
Wow, ang tagal, ma'am. Almost half of your life na po.
Yes,
No?
yes.
And what subjects naman po yung mga tinuturo?
Okay, my concentration is more on social sciences, but I am a psychology graduate. So, it is all of my subjects handled since then are all aligned in psychology, which is part of social sciences. I handled sociology when I was teaching in college, sociology, social ethics, and then here in senior high school, I'm handling understanding culture, society, and politics, community engagement, trends, and what else? Interpretation.
Ang dami na handalan po kami sa rooms. Tapos, what classes are you handling this school year naman?
Okay, most of my classes are in grade 11 for understanding culture, society, and politics, but I have classes in grade 12, creative writing, and intro to philo for this semester.
Ano ma'am, hindi talaga siya ma'am sa public school, hindi lang kung saan ka po talaga naka-asa especially subject. Ma'am,
Yes.
kailangan po flexible.
Yes,
po.
flexibility, and then the wide range of your knowledge and competencies in different subjects. Expect that you will be given different subjects even not aligned to your particular specialization.
So, how do you gather information po about students in terms of their knowledge, skills, and values po?
Well, in terms of knowledge, we always conduct baseline test. And then every start of new lesson, I conduct pre-test. And from there, I will be able to gauge the prior knowledge of the students in terms of a particular lesson. And in that way, I will be able to gauge what level of understanding or what level of comprehension do they have in my subject. And from there, I will be able to prepare my instruction, my assessment, and everything. Now, in terms of values, knowledge, in terms of values, well, the character and attitude of students are seen and observed during the interaction and engagement. So I take note of the red flags. If there are red flags, what is red flags? No? These are the behavioral attitude that are not acceptable in the classroom. So I take note of that, and then in as much as possible, I inject that in my lesson. Maybe you were able to experience the way I integrate sermon, no, in my classes. But I make sure that it is still related to the topic. Okay? And what else?
To follow up po yun, ma'am, what assessment tools do you use po?
Most of the time, it is a teacher-made test. But during this time, during pandemic, no, we were able to come up with SLM, the learning materials, no, the self-learning materials, or the SLM, which is the module. And it is made up, or it was made by different teachers, no, even from different regions. So we utilize this, the activities and the assessment. During pandemic, we didn't have quarterly exam. So it was the assessment and the evaluation are all based from the output, no, and then the performance and the summative test. So most of the assessment tools used are teacher-made tests, but quality assured by the supervisors, no, and then of course the master teachers, supervisors, and the quality assurer of the division. We do not give assessment without undergoing a quality assurance. But for quizzes, no, formative and the summative tests are given or made by the teacher.
So, when do you conduct po yung mga assessments po?
Okay, depends on the assessment. We have what we call the formative test, which is given before, during, no, in the process of the discussion, in the process of instruction. This is to ensure that the students are on task. Okay? If the result of the formative test is commendable, you may continue teaching. But if it is beyond or below the expected result, you have to make sure that you have the teaching. You have to redesign your lesson or your instruction to ensure that the students will be getting high grades or high result, which is an evidence of their learning.
So, paano niyo po ma'am na-utilize yung information niyo po sa inyong profession po?
Utilize the information gathered from the assessment, no? Okay, well, aside from using it as the basis of grades, you will be able to gauge and see the level of understanding of the students. So if there are students who cannot cope with the usual instruction, that is where intervention can be done. Okay. So we have intervention, we have tutorial, no? And during pandemic, we conducted home visitation. That is to make sure that the students will be on task. The result of the assessment will always be used to increase the level of understanding and gathering of skills of our students.
So, paano naman po ma'am nakakatulong sa inyong assessment to become an effective teacher or instructor?
Yes. If the result is high or commendable, that can say something about the way we teach. Okay? If the result is not that good, the question is, what intervention did you make? Did you conduct reteaching? Did you conduct tutorials or one-on-one? Or did you have peer tutoring? So, all results will always be a reflection of the kind of teacher you are. But we have to be very, very careful with using the result, because there should be no biases. Okay? So when we evaluate students, that is, we do not include or we have to disregard the level of what we call this, yung level of relationship. No, we have to accept that there are students who are close to the teacher. No, there are students who are really extra sweet to the teacher, and that can be a room for biases. No, if you really wanted to become a good teacher in terms of using the assessment, you have to be objective in terms of using the result. No, kung 75 siya, 75. But the question is, have you done something? Okay? That is why in public school, failing students, no, when you fail the students, no, giving failing grades to the students, is not, or discouraged. It is discouraged. Because the question always goes back to the teacher, what did you do? Okay? How come your students failed in your class? Okay. Well, if all interventions, all follow-ups, everything was done, still, it is a failing grade. It should be reflected, a failing grade.
That's right po.
Do you agree with that?
Yes,
Sa mga natututuhan ninyo sa klase.
I've experienced din that po. Thank you very much, ma'am. It's my privilege din, ma'am, na ma-interview ako kasi isang malaking karangalan po yun and knowledge na din po as future educator po kami. So, thank you very much.
Good luck and God bless. Be a good educator, no? By heart and of course with your skills, no? Ganyan, no? Mahirap maging teacher, hindi madali. Hindi madali. Pero kung nasa puso, magiging masaya ang buhay ng isang guro. Maraming salamat.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you po.